All right. I think we are good now. My headset's been causing me a little bit of issues. I think I fixed it, but if it might be an issue, and I'll let you know if that happens. But when it happens, it means you get very quiet for me. So
Oh, fun.
yeah,
Is that Chewbacca on your shirt?
that is
That's
Chewbacca
what-
on my shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not as good as the Ridge Racer Type 4
No,
shirt.
I win for once.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring the mic right here, and then actually turn it up, and then bring the mic down here. Okay, that looks good. Mike, your volume was looking good. We got Paul Heyman in the chat, being your promoter, who is might be one of my favorite things. Just imagining Paul Heyman walking Mike Minotti into the ring is very. Oh, that's hero.
Yeah, hilariously, one of my best friends is named Paul Hay.
Oh, okay.
And he's also my wrestling friend. He's the friend I watch wrestling with. So that's funny.
All right.
That's hilarious.
I'm laughing. No, I was laughing really hard, man.
What a cosmic occurrence of hilarity.
Okay. The show looks good. We got a bunch of people watching. Hey, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to get started here in a second. We're just doing our normal pre-show check. That reminds me, let's check the opening theme. No, that's not doing anything.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait, that's the wrong show. Wrong show.
Wrong show. We're not doing
and I have
weird secret kink show. This is
secret kink show. All right.
My dark circle. Oh, my gosh. I'm being called out. Everyone can tell that I'm tired and sad today. Oh, no. I'm pepping it up. Got some samurai.
All right, we should just get started. I'm going to ask you why you're sad on the show.
No, it's not fun. Don't do it.
Okay, well, why are you sad? Just for the YouTube people? It's just because you can't go to Good Friday?
My one friend's been sick for a while, and I don't know what's wrong with him. You asked now. I'm
sorry. Right.
You're right. Because Mario's dead.
You're right there. That's much better.
No, you're right. What did you think it was?
This is what I get. This is what I get.
Do you think it was going to be something fun?
I don't know what I thought, Mike. I guess sometimes I don't think at all.
Oh, that is true.
I hope
Balan Wonderworld's been destroying your brain.
Yeah, it's eating holes in my head. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I have my background noise cancel turned off because I need to for the theme song. If my kid's coming down here, chat remind me to turn it back on. Okay, I think we can get started. I got the rundown there. I've got you here. I just got to remember to hit record on Zencastr. That's the big thing. Okay, Mike, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, let's do this. 5, 4. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the Games Beat Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of video games so you don't have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeffrey Grubb, and with me is
Mike Minotti.
In today's episode, news, games. Mike, you seem very happy right now. Why are you feeling so happy today?
Because Mario's finally dead, so we're finally rid of that nuisance. We can all move on for our lives. Everything's okay now.
You know what? It happened, and I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. I thought I would feel something. Nothing. I'm just dead inside to that man. We'll talk a little bit about that, I guess. The jokes are played out. I don't know. I guess that could just count as what we talked about. But I guess we can talk about Nintendo in general. First, though, thank you everybody for joining us. You can get more from Mike and me at gamesbeat.com. If you have something to share with us, email the podcast at games+podcast@venturebeat.com or get us on Twitter at gamesbeat. Thank you to Carlos Ayin, who is Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our theme song. And if you are listening to this on YouTube, if you are listening to this on the website player widget, you can subscribe to the audio version of this show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever pods are caught. And while you're doing that, if you can give a thumbs up or, rate the show, give it a 5-star review, it really helps people find it.
Click that subscribe button.
Hit thumbs up on YouTube right now. Yeah, click subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff. We've been slowly moving up the charts on iTunes, Mike. I never used to care about this because I never thought it would happen to us. But we've started to crack the top 100 in the United States here and there. So for video game podcast, of course.
No, for all the podcasts.
For all podcasts, yeah.
Who cares about Obama talking to Bruce Springsteen? Here comes Jeffy Grubb and Mikey Mike.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know any other podcasts, so I'm glad you mentioned one. All right, yeah. So, okay, I think that does it. Oh, no, a couple things. The Discord, there's a link in the description. Join it. Come hang out with us. It's free. It's a fun community. We talk about a lot of stuff. It's a good time. And then there's a Patreon that gets you access to some secret stuff inside that Discord at patreon.com/JeffGrubb. But also this weekend, actually, we're going to do a fantasy draft for Fantasy Critic. This is a thing where you draft video games based on what you think their Metacritic score is going to be, and you compete against other players. And we're doing this in our podcast producers channel on the Discord. So if you're a Patreon producer, you are automatically in that channel. Go ahead and find all the details there. Sign up, join our little league. It's going to be fun.
It's funny because my concern was like, well, what happens when a game gets delayed? And I'm like, well, that's just exactly like a player getting injured, actually. So,
exactly. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Hey, $2 from PlayStation Slave 3.0, who wants, I assume he wants you to look into the camera and say, PlayStation 5 is better than Xbox always, and really emphasize the always, please.
I think PlayStation Slave was in what was Spawn Waves podcast on the weekend saying, I got Jeff Grubb to say this or something. All right, PS5 better than Xbox. Oh, okay. PS5 better than Xbox always.
Always.
Real quick, Mike. There's also a bunch of there's like 3 super chats at the start of the chat. If you
there was.
Scroll
okay,
up.
Let's get these pumped up. While I'm looking for that though, Alexander Dark 91 sent $2 and wants to know if you have any news on Xbox having their E3 in June.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think that's the plan. These things are up in the air still. These things are under discussion. I think the aim is to have it during what E3, what ESA is considering an E3 week, which I think is about the second week of June. So I think that's the plan.
Then from RDX, son of a Fett, 280 Canadian. First, he just says, Halo Infinite will be the first Halo game with Dolby Atmos, which is cool. And then another 280 from RDX. Greenberg promised an Xbox mini fridge. Yeah, there was some kind of weird Twitter brands poll. Yeah. And somehow it came down to Xbox and Skittles, and it was very close. You think that Xbox would just be able to dominate Skittles, especially when they promised this mini fridge if they won.
Well, but what was Skittles promising? They were promising to bring back the lime flavor, right?
Well, that is good because green apple is a trash flavor.
Right. This is the whole point. Like lime is like that. Yeah, that's a classic. Bring it back. Sour apple's trash for sure.
It's sour, the problem is that all the other Skittles flavors basically taste kind of the same. Yes. And then you just have that like green apple tasting very different and weird. And I don't like it. Don't like it. Jacob Jones with 250. Possibility for Xbox and Sony shared console exclusives. I mean, this is kind of becoming a thing today because of MLB The Show, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the news,
Yeah, which is an interesting thing. Aside from that, though, I don't think so. I think that's a weird fringe case.
Yes, I think it'll be rare cases like this, and that's it for quite some time. We'll talk a little bit more about it in the news, but thank you for that super chat.
Got a couple more here. Mattathias, $5, went through a few old issues of EGM to find old April Fool's jokes. What has been your favorite April Fool's joke? One of mine is the Lord of the Rings racer for the PSP. It's funny because we both were EGM kids, and we worked for Dan Shu, who was the editor-in-chief of that magazine. That's how I started my career.
Same.
So he loves April Fool's stuff, which is funny because now everyone hates April Fool's, right? Almost obnoxiously so. Like it's come back full circle to me. Like everyone's like, all right, let's calm down, whatever. But I think it could be fun sometimes. MGM always had the best ones. I remember they had the Kingdom Hearts thing with Mario was going to be in Kingdom Hearts was good. Blizzard has done some good ones. Like they had like they were going to release the Molten Core raid for Atari. It was like the one joke. Like the best ones are, I think, the ones that are obviously fake, like the EGM one about like the old James Bond's guys being in Goldeneye. That's very well done, but it's almost like too like I could almost see that happening that it wouldn't fly anymore. Yeah,
that was my favorite was the all the James Bonds and Goldeneye. I think I definitely tried to do it. I think I definitely fell for it. I know the Shenlong one was, the big famous one, and the best part of, so I was looking at those two. The best part about that one is at the bottom of the page, it's like our April Fool's contest. Somewhere in this magazine is an April Fool's prank. Go ahead and tell us where it is, and you could win a prize or something like that. And it's right below the Shenlong stuff. So very on the point. And like the tip came in from W.A. Stokens, like waste tokens. A lot of good, fun, clever stuff in those EGM pranks for sure.
Yeah. We got $5 from Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. Jeff, can we expect more third-party games day and date on Game Pass? Microsoft making moves.
Yeah, what up, Brap? Thanks for showing up. Yeah, I mean, I think we have to assume so now, right? I think this is a big sign that this is exactly what's going to happen. I
think it's working out well for Outriders, right? If that's a good test case, then I think that's going to bring more people in.
And my point, like early on when I suggested this as an idea, like on Twitter in that thread that like people were tweeting recently when Outriders happened, was always like, you're going to be able to reach different kinds of audiences if you bring certain kinds of games into Game Pass day and date. And sports games were the ones I pointed to the most. I'm like, for me, it was NBA 2K, but that's really, really expensive. MLB The Show somehow not quite as expensive, I guess. I don't know. This is a really wild one, but clearly they think this is where the value is going to be for bringing games to Game Pass.
Why don't we do this super chat? Let's talk about MLB The Show.
Sounds good.
From Carlos 1970 with $5. Love the show. Please say Xbox is the only box. Also, how much do you think it costs Xbox to get Outriders and MLB on Game Pass? And I'll say it. Xbox is the only box.
Yeah, I don't know. Specifics on numbers are something that I think they don't give them out for a reason. I don't know. I just have general ideas. Like we could try to like suss this out. We could try to be deductive here. But I also think that we could go down a path where we get one variable wrong and then our whole equation falls apart or whatever. So obviously it's a lot of money, right? It has to be a lot of money for these companies to give up those console sales. And we know console games tend to, when they sell really well. I don't know if it's like as much as it would have been like 5, 6, 7 years ago, but I think there's a game, Agents of Mayhem is always the one I look to. It's like, that's a game that would have sold okay in the previous generation. Then in the last generation, it came out and it was like barely on the top. I don't think it made the top 10 the month it came out. It was like number 17. It's like, this is a game that just on marketing, on the name of the developer, just it being a big new game, would have cracked the top 10, and it couldn't, while GTA 5 continued to sell in the top 3 or whatever that month. And it's like the chances for those kinds of flops have only increased since Agents of Mayhem. And so the publishers are looking at more situations where the risks are real. And if they've seen through a game the entire process, and now they have to face the reality of actually selling it and marketing it, taking that guaranteed money from Microsoft is going to seem pretty appealing in a lot of cases. Clearly, it seems pretty appealing to Sony. So
yeah. Well, we'll get to that. $2 from Josh Tarpley real quick. Just says predictions. Scarlet Nexus day 1 on Game Pass. That seems like a possible Game Passy kind of game. Maybe.
Like I don't remember what Scarlet Nexus is. Can you remind me?
That's the anime thing from Bandai Namco that looks kind of like a Tales game but isn't a Tales game.
Okay, right. Right. Okay. We got the news here. The first thing I had on the list was just rest in peace, Mario. Mario's dead. Whatever. We made all the jokes about that. Nintendo hasn't really said much else about what they're going to do to replace Super Mario 35. I guess that's the newsy part of it.
That's the weird thing is like we are once again in this place of like Nintendo's got to announce some stuff here soon, right? Because all we got is Pokemon Snap, basically.
I mean, Mario Golf is coming in a few months. They filled out some stuff throughout their and Monster Hunter did just come out.
Right, Monster Hunter helps. I guess more so just in the fact that they've taken us away now. And
correct.
What willeth they giveth? It may be nothing.
Because it's Nintendo. It might be nothing. You're right.
I would love to know what they thought internally about all the Mario's dead stuff.
Me too.
I would love to know if they cared, if they freaked out, if they were just kind of uncomfortable.
Right. I hope they at least noticed, because that's very funny to me. But
it is Nintendo. They may not have.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But I put that in my rundown. I don't know if that's where I know for sure that's not how like the meme like took off. It might have been like some people saw it there and started making the memes in their own discourse or whatever. But it's a meme. It like spread of its own accord, and it's also just a generally funny idea. But it's just very funny. Like back in February, putting that in there and then seeing the day it happens, like it become this huge trending thing. What a wild event.
It was fun. I appreciated some of that levity.
Yes,
This is all good
agreed.
stuff. Yeah, it's just $2 from Nick Turbo. He just points out Mario died so Balan could live. I'm expecting an update on your Balan Wonderworld review. It's late.
Yes, it
is.
It's
pretty late now,
yes,
so I'm upset and mad at you, but we'll find out your excuse later.
Fair enough. Okay, so a couple of Sony stories, and then and that includes the show, and then I want to talk about Jim Ryan and give him a report card. Is that okay with you, Mike?
Sure.
Okay.
I like it.
So the PSP, the PlayStation Vita, and PlayStation 3 stores are closing, and that's confirmed. We heard the rumors last week out of the Gamer. Sony verified it this week, and they were very clear with their fact about like what it means. And if you bought a game digitally, you'll still have access to it. But there's no two ways around it. The chances, the opportunity to buy many digital only games on these platforms is going away. And I don't know. To me, I'm still kind of in the same place where I was with it last week, where yes, it's bad. I kind of don't expect much more than this from Sony. And also, if you wanted to buy a digital game on those platforms by now, I think most people would have. I guess there's always the possibility that like some kids are growing up now and like finally getting money and like looking back and saying, hey, maybe I want to start buying some of those games. But also, I mean, piracy is the real thing here, right? Just pirate these games at this point. If this company doesn't care about them, you shouldn't care about buying them.
Yeah, you should God, I don't know why I'm always like terrified to say these things. Like people are gonna get me, but like jailbreak your Vita.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, at least you can still download the games. But right. Yeah, I mean, if you don't need to feel too guilty about it, if there's literally no way to buy those games on there anymore.
Right. And I think, I mean, generally most of the people, going back wanting to play those games were already just going on and getting a torrent and downloading all the entire PSP library in one go. And that's probably just going to be the way it goes forward. And Sony knows this, and Sony's not going to say it out loud, but so Sony like looks at it and sees no one's buying anything on these stores. And the people that are playing it are playing these systems. If they have that telemetry, they're seeing it. They're just pirating. So I get it to a point. I do wish they would have said something about like promising that the PlayStation 4 store and forward is going to stay open, but they wouldn't, and they didn't. And then, okay, the other PlayStation news, I guess, is MLB The Show is launching on Xbox Game Pass on day and date. So if you have an Xbox Game Pass subscription, you will get MLB The Show at no additional cost. And on PlayStation, it will be not on a service like that.
That is pretty nuts, huh?
That is wild. This is a wild one.
The only way, I'm trying to make sense of how this could happen. The only thing I can come up with is, because MLB is also a publisher on this game. So maybe the deal had to be made with MLB, and somehow Sony couldn't be like, no, don't do that. MLB's like, that's a lot of money they're offering, and people don't like watching baseball as much. We'll take that Microsoft money. I think like, you're right. Why else would stay with this? Why would if it was in Sony's power, you would imagine they'd be like, no, we don't want our game being a better prospect on your platform. It's it made sense to put it on there because there wasn't a good like other baseball game, so that made sense. But Game Pass for it, wow! Like it's great for people who have Game Pass, but it doesn't seem great for Sony.
It looks bad, right? It just looks bad, and I think you have to be right. And I think that MLB is likely listed as like the main publisher on this game on Xbox. I would imagine. But so yeah, and the MLB just must retain a lot of control over the negotiations, and they're the ones that made this happen. But yeah, you got to wonder at a certain point, like when does Sony like say, hey, why don't we have more leverage in this deal? I mean, we make a really good baseball game. We make the best baseball game. Why don't we get a little bit more of a say in how this game is presented, even on other platforms? But I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like you see it and you're like, okay, I'm definitely going to try it now, and I'm not going to pay extra for it, and this is how I'm going to play. But I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than this is just so weird.
It is. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm relatively confident I'll get a review code for it, like, and I love this game, and I was even looking forward to like, DualSense will be good for this game, but it's like, well, I'll just play it on Xbox then. If it's going to be basically free for me, I have Game Pass, and that's not like a giant issue for sales. I imagine like people who have Xbox and PlayStation consoles. I don't know how much of a market that is, so maybe that's not that much of a worry. But still, it's not a good look. It's weird. Sony's got to be getting closer to making a bigger play against Game Pass. I don't know if that means expanding PlayStation now, or I imagine having something new and flashier that they can launch as a competitor. But
yeah, maybe
Game Pass is kind of making a lot of moves. It's the stuff that's getting a lot of the positive press. It's kind of like it somehow seems to be catching up with Sony's whole, well, our big advantage is first party exclusives. And now people are like, yeah, but Game Pass is actually so great that we don't care about that as much anymore.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, this leads us into the Jim Ryan report card. So I think that like people, there's a lot of people seem down on Jim Ryan, and I think a lot of Sony PlayStation fans are down on Jim Ryan. I think that they think that he's he has put his foot in his mouth in the past, and like, so when things like the PlayStation, you know, the 3 store and the PSP store, they close down, they look back and they see the one quote where he says, who would want to play these old games? And they bring that up, and people are very quick to apply these snippets to his overall thinking on everything. And I think in some cases that's fair. But if like Sony, if PlayStation is going to like lose ground to Microsoft because of stuff like this, it's death by 1,000 cuts. And I don't know if there's enough cuts possible, really, actually, to hurt Sony in that way. And I think Jim Ryan also knows that. Is that the sense you have?
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is amplified right now because it has been... So Sony's big strength is first-party exclusives, and it's been kind of a dry spell there, right?
Right.
Since the launch of the PlayStation 5, waiting until Ratchet and Clank, hasn't really been much. So even though, you know, you look at Xbox, there's been none, right? And there won't be any really still for a while there. That what could have been like a major problem for them hasn't really been hurting them at all because Sony hasn't really been able to combat them there this time. And I think, you know, if you are a Sony fanboy, which I would advise being a fanboy for anybody, but I can imagine feeling anxious that you're seeing a lot more maybe goodwill towards the Series X than you may have thought, right? Like
right.
If it's just a battle for hearts, what looked like a console generation that may have easily have gone to Sony in the first year, it's like seems pretty close.
Competitive, right? So I mean, I think that you bring up the other half of that death by 1,000 cuts, death by 1,000,000 cuts, whatever it is, equation, which is, you know, Sony's obvious defense against that is huge first party exclusive games, and then but really what we're seeing is that even when you have a couple of those at launch, even when you have like a handful each year, those they do tend to come and go a lot of times. If they're not God of War, if they're not like the game that people just absolutely love above everything else, and it's 100% their game of the year, a lot of times these games can come and go, and then it becomes, what have you done for me lately? So yeah, it's 1,000 cuts, and then you fight it back with a couple of band-aids, but it starts feeling like they're just band-aids, and they're not going to be the sort of thing that you know, at least not until like the system builds up a huge library, right? Once it gets to a point where it's like there are 20 PS5 exclusive games that everyone should play, this conversation changes drastically. But we're not there yet, and so and while we're not there, it does seem like Microsoft is making moves to get kind of put Sony in the corner, and Jim Ryan doesn't seem to be responding to those, except for maybe I think making PS Plus more and more attractive, and I think that stuff is working for them a little bit. But again, that stuff doesn't seem to stick in people's mind in the same way as like Outriders day one on Game Pass. You know, that the people were way more excited about that than I expected them to be. And now MLB The Show day one on Game Pass, like that's the kind of stuff that people seem really ecstatic for, and could sort of turn the tide a little bit. But again, I don't think that there's enough cuts there possible to really.
We've known historically now that Sony kind of sometimes works better coming in from behind, right? They sometimes just get a little cocky and a little slow to react. Now, having said all that, I agree that this isn't. I don't think it's some big cause for concern or anything like that. I think once Ratchet is out, and once you know that the first big like Horizon or whatever the next big exclusive is going to be, people are going to be feeling better. But I mean. Yeah, they're both still very good systems. I think that's been our takeaway since November, right?
Yes.
These are both very good systems now. They're both much better than their last efforts on both ends. So,
and if Jim Ryan's strategy of delivering awesome first party exclusives or you know awesome exclusives in general work out, and like Final Fantasy 16 comes out in the next 12 months, and people are really into that. No one's going to really remember this period. No one's going to look back and be like, oh, remember when we didn't have games? They're just going to be playing Final Fantasy 16 and telling all their friends to play it and obsessing over that sort of stuff. So I mean, and then those are the deals that Jim Ryan he's making those deals. That's where I'm like, okay, I get why people are frustrated with him a little bit, but the idea that like kick him out of here, get Sean Layden back, and I get the personalities. Some people prefer Sean Layden, whatever. I get it, but I mean, he's still making those deals that I thought at least most PlayStation fans would really, really appreciate. And I don't know. I think those stuff will pay off in the end. And again, I think by the time that those games do come around, most of those fans will have forgotten this period and be just absolutely happy with what Jim Ryan is doing.
We got a few super chats to get through here before we move on. Next thing from Brent Bingham sent $5. Considering how the Game Pass models works with third-party exclusives, do you think a possible scale-bound revival could be coming? I think we have to let that one go. I think that one's true and dead. I actually had an interview for Scalebound at one of the E3s.
That's right, you did.
Back when it was shown. Yeah, I know. So that was weird because like they were promoting that one pretty heavily at Xbox, and now that is just gone. I could see them working with Platinum again still. Right. I don't know if it's going to be Scalebound.
And Platinum's doing that. They're trying to be their own publisher and stuff like that going forward. And so if they create something and Microsoft sees it and wants to, work with that, I think that's. I think, like you said, that's definitely possible.
I think their mobile game just like launched today. That
on Apple Arcade, right? Yeah.
What they showed me that
Apple Arcade.
Yeah, I forget if it's Apple Arcade, but they showed me that at GDC like 2 years ago. So I was kind of even wondering what happened with that. They show. Oh, that's out now. Okay, good. From Red Leader, $5. I know you are tired of being asked about this game, but any new Elden Ring rumors? It's fine. Hey, if you pay for it, you can ask away.
Absolutely. But no, nothing new. I think that in general, I think the last stuff I heard is the last stuff I said, where I think Bandai Namco was cracking down in a way that didn't just suggest that they were worried about the leaks. It suggested that they have the game coming, an announcement soon. But I say that's what I know. That's what I'm telling you. Anything beyond that is kind of still up in the air. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at with that game. And yes, you feel free to keep asking. It's fine.
$5 from Ronnie Coots, who just says, I had MLB pre-ordered on Xbox and they announced it was coming to Game Pass, so I canceled my pre-order, which is a very smart thing to do.
Yep. And here's the thing. It's like, if you are worried about it getting removed from Game Pass at a certain point, well, then by the time you're ready to go buy that game after it's off Game Pass, there will be used copies that you could go to the store and buy cheaper. So it's kind of like, yeah, just play it on Game Pass for now. And then if you want to, go pick it up on PlayStation instead later if you want, if that's where you want to play it in the end, or just continue your save on Xbox. If you're the kind of person who's obsessed with the game, by then there will be used copies and you could just do that instead.
Couple more here. That's my dog making awful hair.
It sounded like a motorcycle.
Yeah, this is what I live with. It's worse when I have people over and she makes this noise because they are all like, your dog is dying. Why don't you care? And like, she does, because she does that all the time. Well, because she licks everything and she licks the carpet. And because I'm me, my hair is all over everything. She gets, so it's gross, but she's probably choking on my hair right now. With that image in your head, $5 from Jedi Moss 4. Microsoft has been more competitive because it hasn't made any major mistakes like pricing the underpowered Xbox at $500 in the always online stuff. Yeah, they took a pretty big beating with that launch of the Xbox One, and they have been a lot smarter about things generally since then.
I mean, Xbox Live Gold, though, that's the big mistake, and no one talks about that anymore because they fixed it so fast, right?
They fixed it very fast, and that's a big lesson for everybody. Like, if you do one of these things that is like a big negative story, just fix it.
Just don't do it. Just immediately say I'm sorry and say, wow, we messed up. Yeah, it's totally an option. I think and Sony hasn't made any of these major mistakes, and they have done that in the past as well, just not last generation necessarily. Their stuff is like smaller stuff, like the hard drive or storage space, and not having any SSDs that work with the internal storage and not being able to expand your storage. Stuff that's just sort of annoying, but everyone knows that they will get over eventually and they will have fixed, and it's just kind of growing pains early out of the gate. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Then just $5 from Jacob Bush, who's just asking me how my hairless arm patch is doing. Oh, it's all hair again. It's all back. Look at that.
Listen, my hair all falls off of my head, and it's everywhere as well. So my cat gets hairballs too, and some of it's mine as well. So listen, we're all sinners here, Mike. We're all hairy sinners. Listen, I got more news. Should we just get into this, or we got any more?
Absolutely. That's it for the super chats for now. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks everybody for those super chats. It's really nice. The Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has been delayed. This is a game where people always ask me, hey, Jeff, any news about that? And I'll be like, I haven't heard anything. I think this might be why I haven't heard anything, because they're just pushing it back because it's not ready. Is this a game that you have any interest in playing? I know they're like remaking all of the previous games, but it's still Lego Star Wars.
I don't know. I'm kind of over the Lego games are super fun and charming for a while. They are ultimately a little simple for me.
Yeah.
I needed a little bit something else there. Also, I don't know what the whole the phrase Skywalker saga always makes me kind of roll my eyes, but I don't even know why. There's something about that super like
because it was
I just see the boardroom.
Yes.
I see the boardroom being like, how do we distinguish these 9 movies from the other movies that have episode names? Skywalker saga. I don't know.
Yep. No, you're right. I mean, it's definitely just something that like the story group came up with when they were trying to like sell the Rise of Skywalker at that point. They're like, we're going to wrap up the entire Skywalker saga.
Right. It was a way to make people be like, this is the last Star Wars movie of the Skywalker saga. So it's important. We promise. Like, okay.
Okay. I'm bummed, but I'm not surprised. I think everyone knows at this point, right? All these games are going to get delayed. So many games are going to get delayed.
I mean, that's why people believed that fake Halo Infinite delay thing, right? Because everyone's like, no one would be too shocked. Even that one, which would be kind of shocking because that game was supposed to be out for like 6 months by now or something. Even then, it's like, yeah, sure, it's going to get delayed.
Yeah, I think that going forward, I think most developers are going to continue to be very coy about specific release dates through the end of this year. I think that's what's still happening with Nintendo. We talked about Nintendo earlier. We're like, hey, when are you guys going to start telling us more? And they just don't have to, because they can announce a game a month out and build enough hype to sell a lot of games, and they know it. And so they're just going to wait until they know a game is ready. And other developers are in the same situation now.
It's funny. The only thing I'm really mad at Nintendo for is Metroid Prime Trilogy, because as you say, it's just ready to go. Just release that now. This is a perfect time for it. Just give me Metroid Prime. Come on.
Yep.
Maybe a month from now is because you had Monster Hunter recently, but come on.
Yep. I think they were doing this with what they do this last year. Pikmin. I think Pikmin they had ready for a long time.
3 was the one that and it's kind of ready.
And I think they just do this because they can. But also just because they're like, really hedging against any other, catastrophes that could cause problems with their other development. And so they want to have stuff that they can hold off if they need to. It makes some sense, but is it really that tenuous? Is it really that bad where it's like, if one more thing goes wrong, like 5 games are going to get delayed until like 2025. And so we have to hold on to this one game that's like a remake. Yeah, it doesn't.
Metroid Prime Trilogy, you might have to carry the whole.
Yeah, it doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence, right?
Even I'm saying it's just the Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Right, yeah.
Come on, give it to me.
Okay. Xbox is going to make those Xbox Series X mini fridges. We touched on this because of that super chat earlier. Mike, you going to get one?
I'm thinking about it more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
all the beer I drink in this room, I had to get up and go to my kitchen over there 30 feet away. Like, what the hell?
Steph got me the mini fridge back here for my birthday because I'm down in my office. And it's like, I'm really happy with it. She got me some Red Bulls to put in there. I'm gonna put some beer. Yeah, I'm gonna put some beer in there too. Yeah, there you
go.
So I don't need one, but I did. I was looking at my Microsoft points because I was using the Edge browser a lot recently, and there was I could turn in 1,000 of them to get 25 entries in a contest to win one of those fridges. And I'm like, I'll just put some of that towards that and see if I win one. And then they announced the next day they're going to start making them. I guess we'll have to see the price and all that stuff, but
sure, if it costs as much as an Xbox Series X,
right?
Maybe,
yeah. And I bet they'll sell out and stuff like that. So I bet it'll be kind of a hassle to get.
That'll be a great Christmas gift for a lot of people, right?
Yes, that's a good point. I think it's very cool, and it's a fun idea that they did that, trying to win that.
It's just another thing that makes them seem like a fun brand right now that it's fun to like, which is so much of the battle these days, isn't it?
Yeah, like if you got that, it's really hard to keep, and but it's really hard to get that in the first place. And they seem to be doing a good job of just kind of being friendly, which it's tough. You're right.
I like their brand right now because yesterday on April Fool's Day, the Mega Man Twitter account was just like. Did a Woodman takeover, and it just changed its picture to Woodman, and it was called Woodman, and it just made one tweet that was Woodman. And then the Xbox Twitter just responded Woodman.
It's very good. Yes, I thought you might like that.
I liked it.
That was probably my favorite takeover yesterday was just Woodman. It's Woodman.
Very clever. That is the one character I think about cosplaying as is Woodman specifically.
Really?
I'm like, I just need to get like a trash like can, like a
paint it
bucket.
like a tree. Yeah,
and like you're almost there.
Yeah. You can get like some like toy leaves or whatever and hang them off.
And it would be easy to even have that many leaves.
Yeah, it's got like a couple.
One leaf.
Yeah,
get a hula hoop and put some leaves around it, and there's your leaf shield. It's easy.
It's beautiful. All right, yeah. Well, now you have to do it for the podcast, Mike, for this Halloween. All right, he committed, everybody. Xbox Cloud is getting the backwards compatibility. Mike, I feel like I want to sit you down and do a live stream where I go through all the cloud services and see if anything moves you at all. Like attach like a heart monitor to you and just watch it stay flat the entire time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Perfect Dark Zero is going to be the thing that gets me excited about cloud games. I love retro games, but like Cameo and like
okay, I don't blame you.
I don't know. It's all right.
At least
okay.
It's nice that like if you get a craving for one of those games and like you want to play on your phone or whatever, it's nice that it's there. But I agree mostly.
Yeah, sure. It's fine.
This is all I have for the news. I asked our Discord for some headlines. This is what they gave me. I think they might have said a few other things that I forgot to put on here. But anything else I missed, Mike, or should we go on to the questions?
That seems right. Yeah.
All right.
Now I'm like scared of forgetting something too, but go to the questions.
Okay, let's go to the questions. I can hit this tab right here, and it brings me right to. So if you want to ask a question, a good way to do it is join the Patreon. That gets you into the podcast producers, and I have a link there where you can ask us questions each week. It's very simple.
They didn't bring up the analog pocket delay, which I know has broken your heart.
Oh yeah,
analog I don't know if you want to talk about.
No, it's too sensitive. That's too. No,
I mean, look, things are delayed because of the pandemic, right?
You know, they said because of the pandemic, because of the chip shortage, and because of that ship in the Suez Canal. They're like, these are all reasons why we're delaying to October. I'm like, God damn that stupid ship.
Yeah. I guess one thing I do want to talk to you about actually is what do you think about the CD Projekt Red stuff? I mean, they released their big patch, but then they like also had that like kind of investor like presentation when they're like, we're expanding, we're going to be working on multiple projects at once, and we bought this Canadian studio that helped us make Cyberpunk, and that to me was almost just them trying to move past this Cyberpunk incident.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to focus on like they're trying to establish that they have a future beyond this game, even though it does seem very much like they're going to be stuck working on this game for a very long time. But like they're going to be working on this game for a very long time. Like that's what I figured they would be doing, right? It's like they're going to be the Cyberpunk update company for years.
I figured they'd be doing that, and then they'd be running back to The Witcher, like an ex running back to their former lover, you know?
Yeah, like a little kid with a skin knee. Yeah, exactly. Running to their mama.
Kind of, like we'll all buy it, but we'll all be kind of embarrassed.
Yeah, be embarrassed for him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that in general, I'm not surprised that they, as a public company, are trying to put on a strong face and say we have plans for the future. I imagine some of that stuff will manifest into other things, but they also said like they're not going to make the multiplayer game, right? Is that how they said it? Is that how they put it? They're like.
They said they are. It's very confusing because they're not doing that in Cyberpunk, but then they're like, oh, we want to make multiplayer games though, but also like our core is still single player RPG. So just like a bit of like everything, like we're doing everything maybe, and just, look how ambitious we are. And it's like, wow, that's a lot of ambitious plans for a company that botched its last big release.
Right. My guess is this is mostly just posturing, and that they will be working on Cyberpunk for years, and that's going to be what we think of them as is the Cyberpunk.
I mean, I'm sure there's a team there that's like working on the next
of course
Witcher. Like, I mean, you know, that's the people who do that early concept stuff that can't really do much with Cyberpunk right now. Anyways, we got $2 from Mattathias asking, will Monster Hunter Rise come close to outselling World? I mean, the problem there is that World was on 3 platforms and Rise is on 1 right now.
Right.
Of course, it's the Switch, so there's a lot out there. It might come close.
I think it'll come
honestly.
Close. Yeah,
like it's going to do very, very well.
What they already announced some sales, right? Wasn't it like 2 million or 4 million, something like that?
4 million shipped, which is like guaranteed sold, basically. And then whatever they do digitally and whatever else gets shipped after that, it's going to do very well. You know, I'm not sure how much it matters if it outsells World, right? But like, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's going to be a very big hit. Yes,
yes, it's going to be a massive hit, right? 4 million's already like outselling some first-party Nintendo games like Pikmin 3. So yeah. Okay, let's see. I got a bunch of questions. Again, you want to ask a question, it's do so in the Discord. The details are in the Discord, so just go there. Or you can send a super chat too. Super chats are always a good way to ask a question live during the show. Okay, so I got a couple backlog ones from some people who asked some, but I'm going to continue to save those, maybe just pick one or two. The new ones are, let's start here with John, and then in parentheses, nostalgia gaming. Mario has tackled so many different genres, like RPG, kart racer, strategy, sports, puzzles, etc. But is there a particular genre you would like to see Nintendo try with the Mario IP that they haven't done so yet? And he gives examples like a beat 'em up or a MOBA. MOBA would have been mine, so thanks a lot, John.
Man, he's got me to beat him up now. That would be kind of fun.
That would be neat.
Right,
They could
like
do some cool
Mario
stuff.
and like Luigi. They should make a Wario beat 'em up would be so good.
Yeah, bring in some
Like,
RPG mechanics like from the Mario and Luigi games, like kind of have that maybe that animation style.
It should very specifically be a 4-player beat 'em up with Mario, Wario, Luigi, and Waluigi.
Yes, that would be
holy
fantastic.
Crap. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want now.
Right, and there's like the power-ups are already there and everything, and you can imagine how they would work and like getting turtle shells and throwing them. Yeah. That would be fantastic.
Metroidvania would be the other thing. Like, what would that look like? The Mario Metroidvania.
Yeah. That would be
people kind of made those in Mario Maker, right?
Right.
It was
yes.
pretty neat.
Yeah. That would be neat. Yeah. I don't know. I like the beat 'em up. I like. They have done some like strategy games, I guess. I mean,
they've done Mario and Rabbids as kind of
strategy RPG. Yeah.
We did that. I didn't think that was gonna happen. There,
right.
And it worked. Didn't work as well as Mario RPG, but it worked.
Yeah, but for me, it's like I would just want like a Mario Kart mechanic simulator, or I would want like Mario Kart Off-Road, where like you are going through the back roads of the Mushroom Kingdom and trying to like rescue stuck people, like in other games, like Off-Road.
Maybe like.
Go ahead.
Find some Mario spin-off character to make a point-and-click adventure game based off of like Birdo or something. I don't know.
Isn't that Hotel Mario? I've never played Hotel Mario, so I don't know.
Hotel Mario is not that. I don't know what to call Hotel Mario, but I mean, Mario is Missing is kind of an adventure game.
Right, maybe that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Or Mario's Time Machine. $5 from Gaming Forte. How much crazier can the start of a generation be? Xbox is finally putting up a fight and gamers win. Great show, gentlemen. Just show some love. Hey, thank you, Gaming Forte. It's been fun.
Thank you.
It's been fun and interesting despite the almost complete lack of exclusives, right?
Right. Well, it's been a lot of fun to cover. There's stuff going back and forth. The companies seem like they're competing. This is like one of the early articles I wrote during this generation was, hey, listen, these companies know that there's a lot of money on the line this time, and last generation they didn't know that. They thought there wouldn't be a lot of money on the line. So
yeah, they thought that the consoles were kind of like, oh yeah, video game consoles.
Yeah,
those are die. They're like everyone else, last console generation ever.
Yeah. Both those companies thought that was a possibility. This time they know there's a lot of people who want to spend a lot of money on console games, and we're both going to fight over them. So even when we fuck up, we're going to find ways to respond and like address that and be better and just try to win hearts and minds because it's so important.
They're invested.
And yeah, they're super invested. And it's like really, so that makes it fun to cover. I think it's going to make it fun as a gamer long term.
But it's also not like nasty. Like
so far, no.
Those two to get like to each other. The fanboys, of course, are insane. I get even my Mario is dead thing was devolved into a ton of fanboys yelling at each other about consoles.
Oh my god, I didn't see that. Oh my god.
Calm down. Well, of course it does.
Thank you, Forte. Thanks for showing up, man. It's nice. All right, so let's see. I got a couple other questions from Donnie Reese. Clap Hands released a Hot Shots mobile game for Apple Arcade after 20 plus years of being PlayStation exclusive. Look at the second half of the question. Hang on.
I didn't even know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, that happened today. Yeah. Are they going third party? Chances we see Clap Hands Golf on Switch, PC, or Xbox?
This is kind of just another sign of, man, I was thinking about this today, how like that PlayStation 1, almost every franchise that mattered to Sony was like a Japanese thing, right? And I assume Hot Shots Golf is a Japanese thing also.
I think Clap Hands is Japanese.
And like now it's the opposite. Now everything is Western, and like they've completely gutted the
Japan Studios.
It's like everyone but the Astrobot team is gone, and I feel like they just basically weren't welcome anymore at Sony.
That's kind of how it feels, yeah. And I get why I get why Sony does that. Like, their audience is global. Jim Ryan definitely comes from Europe. He's the one that like helped oversee Sony Computer Entertainment Europe and made it a really big deal. And PlayStation absolutely dominates in Europe. And so I get why, like, he's like, oh well, worldwide worked out for us. We're going to go after that. But man, I do associate Sony a lot with weird Japanese games. Yeah,
Ridge Racer.
Yeah, oh, man, Ridge Racer 4. Yeah, I'm playing a lot of that right now because of Mike, and it's great. And I would love to see just sort of more games with that Japanese style. But I get it, Sony like it's like, hey, there are opportunity costs here. We could do that stuff, or we could do a global hit, and we think the global hit's going to be more worth our time and money. As for clap hands, I think if a game is on Apple Arcade, I expect it to be on Switch in like the next 6 months to a year. So my guess
I certainly hope that's true for that new Mistwalker game.
Yeah, I know that. So that the Fantasian is, the people don't know, this is another game that came out. Why does Apple Arcade do this, where they drop like a bunch of games all at once?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like you forget about Apple Arcade, and all of a sudden it's like a drop like this. Which I guess it drums up excitement, but I feel like Fantasian by itself maybe could have been fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So Fantasian is from the guy that what's his name that invented Sakaguchi. Thank you. And it's got that
the Final Fantasy guy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy guy, and it has that like the Final Fantasy 6 sensibilities, but it also has a little bit of look of like a Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, where it has almost pre-rendered backgrounds and characters walking on them. It looks neat. It looks cool.
I don't want to play an RPG on my phone.
Yes. No, I don't blame you. Who would? Yeah, I guess so. There's probably a big audience, but I imagine that game will also eventually come to Switch as well. So
I hope so. I really hope so.
I think there's a good chance that those games will at least come to other platforms, whether or not Xbox and PC, we'll see. But Apple Arcade's never like been trying to keep a game exclusive forever. So yeah, I think there's a good chance those games will come to other platforms.
Alex Sawyer with $5. It sounds like CDPR is not going to abandon the Cyberpunk IP and will continue with presumably a sequel starting in 2022 along with the new Witcher. Yeah, that's what they said, right? They're going to work on two projects at the same time, and like one would be Witcher, one would be Cyberpunk. I'm skeptical of them there. Like none of this stuff is like promises that they have to keep, right?
Right.
I almost find it hard to believe they really want to be messing around with Cyberpunk that much more in the future. But I mean, they've invested in that IP, so yeah. I mean, maybe, but like, it's going to depend on just how much things get turned around once. I mean, the patch is already out, and some people are already like, "Oh, it still doesn't work great." Yeah. So maybe when the next gen versions come, I don't know. We'll see how they really feel about Cyberpunk in 2022, I guess.
I mean, they got to get this game back on PlayStation first, right? I mean,
yeah, it's still not been relisted, right?
Yeah, so we're talking baby steps still before they can look at a point where they're like going to really invest in a sequel. Mike, you make a good point. They invest a lot in the IP. They also invested a lot in their technology. I hit my mic. To the point where it's like the sequel often benefits greatly from that tech investment, where you put a ton of work into making sure the game can just function for the first game, and then Assassin's Creed 2 comes along, and it's like Game of the Year material.
Yeah, we see this a lot.
Yeah,
like, I mean, Uncharted 2, Assassin's Creed 2, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Right, and you would always, and like you would expect it also to still take place in Night City. You're talking about building on top of assets in a lot of cases, I think. So I don't know. I think there's a potential where they like see, okay, let's get Cyberpunk to a place where it's good, it's back on PlayStation, and then let's take a lot of what we've done and turn that into a sequel that actually delivers on our real vision for this game in the first place, and then go from there.
I mean, it's important to remember The Witcher 1 wasn't some giant hit.
Right. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, maybe they're looking
it did well enough, but it can take time sometimes.
Yeah, take time. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, let me see. Who's this from? This one's from Ray Mogos. Thank you, Ray, for this question. Buy one game, rent one game, and one goes away forever. Hades, Celeste, and Dead Cells. So basically, fuck, marry, kill, I guess.
You're not gonna like my answer to this, I don't think.
No, probably not. But I don't. This is a tough one though.
I think I buy Hades because and rent Celeste just because Celeste like ends at a bit more place.
Yeah,
and I'll kill Dead Cells. I just like Hades more than Dead Cells. Jesus, I don't know if tough. You do, but I like Hades more. I beat Dead Cells once, like the one time I was like, oh, I beat Dead Cells, fine. I played a ton of Hades.
I get it. You don't have to like drive it into the ground, man. God,
it's funny how Dead Cells is a bad shit game and Hades is good. Like Dead Cells is only slightly better than SteamWorld Dig 2.
Let me just come to this on my own terms because I might end up having to agree with you. Hades it has a lot of. I think Dead Cells combat is better than Hades combat, but I think everything else Hades does better. And Hades ongoing like narrative to keep you attached to the game even after you beat it is one of the best advancements in roguelike games ever, to the point where it's like it's going to be important for game development going forward. Huge games are going to start copying this. It's going to be held up as like this paragon of what games can be. So yeah, maybe I think I might have to agree exactly with Mike. I think I'd buy Hades.
I am really smart and know the correct answers to everything.
Because
so
Celeste is also Celeste is so good too.
So, I mean, these are all very good games.
Yes, but it's like, but if I have Hades, I don't also need Dead Cells at that point, and I would not want to get rid of Celeste. So,
Celeste is amazing.
Okay, for Bullet Sponge, this one's about MLB. Let's see, this one we already answered. It was a surprise when MLB The Show was announced for Xbox in the beginning. With it now coming to Game Pass and a big shocker today, do you see this as the beginning of a more harmonious relationship between Microsoft and Sony, with more first-party titles coming cross-platform, or is this specifically a decision spurred by MLB themselves?
I think it's spurred by MLB. I don't think it's anything that Sony is specifically super excited about.
Yep, I think you're right.
My question here is, like, so MLB The Show, like 2022, that's kind of has to be on Game Pass too now, right?
You think so, right?
It's going to be kind of awkward when these things isn't on Game Pass now.
I agree. That's like one of the risks here for Microsoft is you can't make Game Pass look worse now by taking a game away next year, right? But it's not taking a game away really, but
yeah, but it gets expensive. It still kind of gets perceived as that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
hey,
go ahead.
$5 from AJ, not my AJ, not my brother. I don't think. But hi, AJ. Also, last question for you guys. Any rumors on to be Battle Royale after launch? Love the show. Is there going to be a Battle Royale?
Hang on. You cut out a little bit. And I think it's going to cut out for the YouTube people. So also, sure. Last question for you guys. Any rumors on Halo Infinite? Is there going to be a Battle Royale after launch? Yeah, no, I think so, but I don't know for sure. I haven't heard one way or the other. You think there would be, right?
You think there would be, and getting an extra year on this thing, like you almost think there might just be when it launches, except maybe they really do want something exciting to happen a couple months after launch for that game. But I mean, why not? It obviously hasn't worked for everyone. It's not like it helped Battlefield, but Battlefield was kind of in a rough spot to begin with. But it worked so well for Call of Duty. I think they would want to give it a try.
I think you're right, and this is a game that we don't exactly know what the structure is like for playing this game, if it's closer to Destiny or how that works. But I mean, you imagine they want people to be playing this game for years and years, and one of the ways to do that, clearly, as you said, Call of Duty.
Wouldn't it be cool if they could make the Battle Royale actually take place on like a smallerish Halo ring?
That would be very cool. That would be awesome.
I don't know how the ring of fire works exactly with that, but there's got to be some way to make that work. Come on.
Yeah, just as an idea, it sounds very good. I bet there's a lot of complications to making it work.
And somebody there who's smarter than me must have also had that idea.
From Nick Turbo, is it not inspirational that such a phenomenal game like Balan Wonderworld
yes.
could be worked on and finished during the pandemic? Yeah, I guess those are some words for that.
Yeah, Nick. That's one of the reasons why it will be Game of the Year, is because of that inspirational aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't deny that they shipped the game during the pandemic. You cannot deny that. They absolutely pulled that off.
What is this game's Metacritic right now? Because it's like not high, but part of me is like, it should be maybe like, if this isn't the game that you feel comfortable giving a score like less than a 5 to, right? Like, I don't know, like what is?
Yeah.
There's only 4 reviews for the Xbox version, and it's out of 40.
Okay.
So that's not very good.
That sounds about right.
I think the PlayStation version might have more reviews right now, though. I don't know, but yeah,
based on what I've played, I would say I'm leaning towards giving it a 1 out of 5. So
yeah, okay.
I think so. Because I think I hate it, and that's the 1 out of 5. There's parts. We'll talk about it here in a second. Let's do a couple more questions, and then we'll go to what we've been playing. And if you have any more super chats you want to get in, now's the time to do it. All right. Here's one from Benji Bop regarding CDPR's newly adjusted outlook on current and future projects, especially marketing. Is there such a thing as a perfect balance on when to announce, tease, and showcase a game? Fans like myself always forget announcements and demos are more for investors and shareholders, but sometimes there are anomalies like Fallout 4. Would love to get your thoughts, and thank you. Yeah, absolutely, Benji. What do you think, Mike?
I mean, that is the balance, right? Because you have to let the investors know, like, oh yeah, we do have a big game coming. Don't worry about it. But it's often not great for consumers to announce stuff super, like, obviously Cyberpunk was announced too early.
Yeah.
And that worked out pretty poorly for them. And like for Fallout 4, that seems to work well when it's just that. So I think ideally you want to do that, but there's just so many other factors. Sometimes it's about, hey, we have an E3 presentation. We have to end on something. maybe this isn't really the best time to reveal Breath of the Wild 2, but man, won't that be a cool way to end our show?
Yep.
So in it goes.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, like Benji's right when his question where you have to put these stuff out to let investors know it's okay to continue to invest in our company because we do have that big game that is coming eventually. Or sometimes it is for the gamers. Like when you announce, yes, we are definitely making Elder Scrolls 6. We're making Elder Scrolls 6, but we'll just tell you so that when we try to sell you Fallout 76, you won't get that mad at us. You're still going to get very mad at us for trying to sell Fallout 76, but we are still making Elder Scrolls 6, right? So come on. Like that's happens too. So it's the same company balancing out like when to do this. And sometimes it does it super early, and sometimes it does it when it's like a 6-month cycle, and we're just going to go from Fallout 4 to release in that time. There's no right answer, obviously, but I think that it's different than movies, right? Where movies we hear about years and years and years ahead of time, and it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to be a problem, even when they get delayed.
Yeah, it's just a different. Like we hear about when like the rights for a book gets optioned and stuff like that, right?
And I think the difference is buying a game is more expensive. Games are also more complicated because they're software, and so they do get delayed more often, it seems like. And so that makes like planning out years ahead of time more difficult.
Like mid-tier video games can have giant fan bases in a way that mid-tier movies don't. Yes. Like there's a ton of Ace Attorney fans like me, right? Like you have to be careful about when you're going to announce the next Ace Attorney. You better do it at that concert thing or whatever. Right. And like that never happened with the Underworld movies, It was like, it's Underworld 7's coming out. Great.
Let me see. Let me ask one more question. Let me see if I can find a good one. We'll save that one. With games being delayed, this is from Nick Turbo. With games being delayed to 2022, what games do you think actually hit their second half of 2021 release date? It's a good question. I'm not sure if I can even think of many games.
I think Skyward Sword will actually come out for the Switch.
That's fair.
This year.
Yeah.
I think that's one. God, what else is there? It's been so slow. I've barely been thinking about like the second half of this year games.
Yeah, I know that's
because I feel like we don't even know what Sony's is, right? We don't know if Horizon is this year. We don't.
They haven't. I know they've said for sure they haven't given an exact date to Horizon. I think they said they were going to release it this year, but I can't remember for sure if they said that.
I tell you what, I'm fairly confident that the new Call of Duty will come out this fall.
There you go. There's one. Yeah. I think that so let's put down the pens. Let's put down the keyboards, because this is one where whenever I say this stuff, there's always a news story about this one. But I think that Starfield does come out this year still, and they haven't even announced that. But that's what I think. I don't know. I haven't heard one way or the other. But
breaking news.
But I think it's frequent leaker. That
is it coming out before or after Alan Wake 2?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I can't deny that one. I just flat out said that. Probably before Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is probably still a little ways off, but yeah, that's happening too. I'm surprised no one asked about that in the chat this week. So I guess too bad.
Well, you already promised that's coming out. So what else is there?
Yeah, what else is there to ask about? You're right. Good point. I gave away the goods for free, Mike.
You did without me. How am I supposed to ride your coattails if I'm stuck in chat like these plebs?
All right, let's get on to what we've been playing. Thank you for all the questions, everybody. We got a few more from Nick and Knooble, and from Benji, another from Benji. I'm saving those for slower weeks as we need more questions in the future. Thank you guys for everything. Okay, Mike, what have you been playing?
Well, I opened up Ratchet and Clank, the PlayStation 4 one, because they did a big update patch for that on PlayStation 5. And yeah, it looks great. It looks really nice. If that game had come out like today as a PlayStation 5 game, I would have believed you. I wouldn't have had any issues with how it looks. Like, the only awkward thing about it is still how it's kind of a movie game, so the cutscenes are just like clips from the movie, complete with like the letterboxing.
I forgot that. That's right. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a little weird, but still plays really nice, still looks really good. Ratchet and Clank games sure are a lot of fun. It was weird, though, because it literally, like, I didn't beat that game, and it kept my save, so I was, like, just picked up right in the middle of it. I was like, what's happening? Oh, it's just Ratchet and Clank. I can get back into it pretty easily, and I did.
That's when when it came out free, I think I picked it up, but I
think
almost
it still
bought
is
it.
free.
Yeah,
it still is free, so people should get it, because it's, it's good.
And I started playing it, and I was like, oh, it does look a little bit old. And that was just about the technology, about the frame rate, about like the resolution and stuff like that. With this update, I'm definitely planning to give it another try. Yeah, super nice. Once I get some more time. But I've got to finish Balan Wonderworld, of course.
Right. Yes. Before we get to that, which I'm very excited about, I'm still kind of mad that Capcom didn't just look at Ratchet and Clank and go, "Oh, eureka! That's how we do 3D Mega Man."
Yeah,
that's like so much of what it basically is. It's just a 3D action platformer with a lot of wacky weapons.
What, you don't like Mega Man Legends?
I know you don't. I get yelled at every time I say.
I know. I'm trying to get you yelled at.
I'm meaning to play it again, but even still, like that's not like a Link to the Past to Ocarina of Time or a Super Metroid and Metroid Prime situation. They just made a different game. Mm-hmm. They just made like a RPG, like a 3D adventure RPG thing with it. Yeah. So, anyways, where's my damn Balan Wonderworld review?
I
think PR involved in this.
No. Listen. I want to play it, but it's very bad. It's very bad. Okay, so I got to this point on the second world, which is like this underwater world, and
is this the one with the dolphin, the angry dolphin?
There's an angry dolphin, but there's a giant scuba diver woman. That's the thing I can't get out of my head. She is massive, and it's like it really feels like there's nothing to say, hey, this is pervy, but it feels pervy just because she's so huge.
Is this like that girl from Resident Evil 8?
She's bigger than that, Mike. That's the territory we're talking about. That's how horny this game is. Okay, so one of the first power-ups you get is just like another jump ability, but this jump ability means now you can go in water. And once there's these like water pipes, basically, like pipes made out of water. And normally you could just stand on them, but if you have this one suit, you can go into them, and then you follow the pipe, and you like, okay, you like look through, and you see there's like secrets behind and areas where it's like if you could jump out early, you could get to those areas, and you think that's what's going to be able to do. No, you get in the pipe, and you just have to sit in it the whole time until you get to the end, and that's it. There's no like mechanic to it. It's just that's it. It's going to take you from one place to the other, and so it's like already kind of boring. And then you get another power up on that level where maybe this is the dolphin one. I can't even remember what it looks like. It looks stupid. I can tell you that much. And you get a bubble that you jump up and you stand on a bubble, and then the bubble slowly moves forward. And you're like, okay, so I guess this is going to enable me to jump a little bit further, right? This is going to be like the platforming mechanic that helps me get over these challenges, or helps me get like more hidden items. And it is awful. You have to jump straight up and let the bubble happen and then carry you. And if it like gets anywhere near an object, the bubble pops. But if you try to like jump forward and activate the bubble to like really elongate your jump, it just won't work. It just doesn't work, and it feels terrible. So you'll just jump, you're like trying to, like, I see like there's like a balance statue over here. I'm like, okay, well, if I could just jump around this one thing and then activate the bubble, I'll be able to float over there and get it. And it just will not work. You have to just jump straight up and hit the bubble and slowly move forward.
I guess I'm not shocked because there's always some people like this, but I can't believe that there are like the Balan Wonderworld defenders. And like people in the press are like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm like, come on.
No, it is that bad. That's the thing. It is like a bad Dreamcast game, and in a lot of cases, I mean, it's as bad as the worst of those Dreamcast games that like you would try to say, okay, well, there's nothing else for the system, and give this a shot. And it's that disappointing.
What are the consequences of this? Like, is Yuji Naka done at Square Enix already?
I think so. I mean, I mean, you're not going to kill him, right? So yeah, you just fire him.
Well, they killed Mario.
Killed Mario. Good point.
He's next. Oh my gosh. Maybe this is going to be the Room of video games. It'll be like the next Deadly Premonition, and everyone will just buy it anyways. Yeah, it'll be a surprise hit. I don't know.
I think that they made it for kids, and I think kids are going to get real. Okay, I think kids would get frustrated playing this. I'm surprised how patient my kids are. Like, and they're very young, like 4 and 2. And when they play games on the tablet, they're very patient with it. So maybe the kids are just better with this kind of stuff than I am. But when I play this game, it is just so frustrating. It feels so bad that I imagine most kids are going to be like, I thought that was going to work, and it didn't work. So this game's broken, and I'm just not going to play it. That's how I imagine they would react to it. Maybe they don't, and maybe that's Yuji Naka's like genius, is that he understands that kids love garbage, so he just made a garbage game, and it's going to do fine. But $60 for a family game is like a lot. Yeah, I just don't think that like families are going to be like, oh yeah, let's go buy this game that has really bad reviews for my kids, and I'm not going to play it. Just my kids are going to play it. That seems outlandish. And And yeah, I'm gonna play it some more, and I think I will stream it as Christian in chat is asking me to do. And I think we should play it co-op, Mike. I think we should give it a shot. And then I'll review it. I will write a review for this game, and we'll put it behind us and never talk about it again.
Awesome. I'm excited.
You've been playing something else though. What else you been getting into?
I don't know. Well, I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter Rise, and once I finished my review, I was like, okay, I can go back to Bravely Default 2. I did that for a bit, and I was like, I want to play. I want to play Monster Hunter Rise more instead, but also I don't want to play Bravely Default 2 anymore. I don't know. I feel bad about it, but I also feel silly trying to force myself to play that game if I don't really want to be. Because even aside from Monster Hunter Rise, I've had Dragon Quest VIII like ready to go on my 3DS, and I even went through the trouble of jailbreaking my 3DS and installing the like orchestration patch for it. And I'm like excited to try that out, but I actually like held off because I was like, oh, I shouldn't start this when Bravely Default 2 is coming out, and I don't know. Like there's nothing super wrong with Bravely Default 2, but it's just nothing super exciting about it. It's doing what the other Bravely Default games did at the bare minimum, and nothing more interesting than that. And the characters aren't as good, and it's just I don't know. I don't find it. I feel really guilty about it for some reason, but I don't know. I still want to force myself through it for some reason. Like, why do I want to force myself to spend 20 more hours with a game I'm not liking that much? I don't know. I'm just a bad person.
I mean, how does that make you? To me, that makes you sound like a good person when you have like loyalty to this game, this series, because you like built up a relationship with it. And you want to you don't want to give up on it. I get that.
Yeah, because I like Bravely Default 1 a lot. I even liked Bravely Default 2 or Bravely Second. God, a good bit. And I don't know. I feel like
for me, as soon as they came across with that dumbass naming, I've been like, I'm out of here. Square Enix, go to hell.
Yeah, speaking of dumb names, I've been getting yelled at by the Kingdom Hearts. It's not yelled at, but corrected. It's not 358 over 2 days. It's 358 over 2 days. They specified that about that. So I've been... All right. Bye, Jeff. Bye.
What the fuck are you talking about? What does that mean?
358. It's 358.
I thought you were going to say you got the numbers in the wrong order or something,
no,
Mike.
I'm saying it wrong like an idiot.
What does that mean? Like 358 over. What is that? How is that? What does that mean?
It's different. You guys should check out our Kingdom Hearts titles tier list video. That's fun stuff. Hey, Rocker Corey of $2. Are you still hearing rumors of big Microsoft acquisition? I was wondering about this because they just made a bunch of military money recently.
Yeah.
And you're talking about how it's not a good time to have money in the bank. So I'm like, are they gonna just throw that money into something else immediately now, or what?
Well, they'll have to put a lot of that money into research and development for the military project.
Oh,
which,
good.
Yeah, but exactly, wonderful. But yeah, no, yeah, they're gonna. I mean, Discord is still, that's the rumor, right? That's $10 billion. So I think if as the rumor suggests, Phil Spencer is directly involved in that acquisition, that's likely taking up most of his time for acquisitions at the moment. That's not a developer. I think that's why we couldn't think of like, who would they be spending all this money on? Because we weren't thinking like, services and other stuff that they could slap on top of Xbox Game Pass to make it better. What games are they trying to acquire? But right now, Discord seems to be the thing. I think that's likely what it is. Nick Turbo, I swear to God.
Nick Turbo, $2, 358 days over 2. Oh yeah, 300, not 358. Don't say it wrong if you need it. Do I need to make a new lower tier for that tier list now?
I'm like, that is infuriating. Like, I don't. Okay, whatever.
Would you believe that game actually has one of the better stories in that franchise?
No, I wouldn't believe that.
It gets intense. It gets sad.
Intense. Does Donald Duck die? Yes or no?
No.
It's not that good then.
Characters. Oh, yeah. Those deaths are also undone later in the franchise, but yeah, it's intense stuff.
Oh, that's infuriating. Okay. All right. I've been playing Offroad Mania, which is a Steam game I found because I was searching for the term off-road because I started watching this YouTube channel called Matt's Off-Road Recovery, where it's just a bunch of guys. Not a bunch of guys. They run like a professional recovery company that like tows people who are in bad situations off-road, like on mountains, like sideways or whatever. And I've been getting into that. And Mike, your dog's mad at me and barking a lot.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. And I've been watching a lot of those videos, and so I just went on to Steam and typed in the word off-road. I'm like, I really hope there's a game like that. And I know that there's that off-road delivery service game coming soon, and I'm very much looking forward to that. It looks fantastic. But that game's not out yet. So I found this other game that had pretty favorable reviews called Offroad Mania, and it's like an off-road, like it's a realistic off-road looking vehicle in what looks like a very like low poly world. Basically looks like a puzzle game, because it is. And you just go through these short stages, moving the vehicle over these objects. And of course it has like the really springy suspension. So you go over rocks and it, like, you know, it bounces off and stuff. And sometimes you'll flip over or whatever. And it's just like this really good physics puzzle game that I really got into. And I played like the first 20 levels or whatever. And it's only on Steam. It doesn't have like a ton of reviews, so it seems like one of those games that's like just a small team made and they put it out on Steam and then kind of did nothing else with, and it came out in 2019. But it would be great if it was on Switch and Game Pass. I think it would find an audience. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, and I think most people probably haven't even heard of it, it's called Offroad Mania. I found it to be very cool. It's definitely right up my alley. But if you like physics puzzler games at all, it's definitely worth it.
Christian's right. What is up with you and mud?
I don't know. I just like I don't like actually physically touching mud in real life, but the like the act of moving a giant object like a vehicle through something like mud, I don't know. There's something appealing about that. Like just trying to get these machines to navigate these things that aren't really made to be navigated. It's a satisfying thing to partake in.
Speaking of satisfying, I'm just realizing that like you have your Star Wars thing in your background. I have my Star Trek thing in mine. Although mine's a calendar, it's actually April. I need to move it. Do you want me to do the live reveal?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see
what it is.
Right now, that's the Enterprise E doing the Riker maneuver from Star Trek Insurrection. So let's see.
All right, all right. He's getting up, everybody. All right, he's moving to the back of his room. He's leaning over in between his arcade cabinet, and he's not knocking over the Rocketeer figure, so we're good. He's flipping the page. What is it?
Oh yeah. Oh baby, give me that DS9.
There it is. Yeah, the Deep Space Nine. All right.
Oh, we got the Defiant. We got the system. The Defiant is being.
We can only see his back.
It's being attacked by goo for some reason.
Oh, that's very good.
I don't remember that episode where the Defiant was attacked by goo, but that's great. Good stuff.
I never keep up on calendars. So April 2nd, you flipping the page over. I'm very impressed by that.
Yeah, that's not bad for me. I'll take that.
Yeah. Mikey, I'm a lot of games. I'm a lot of news. We don't have any more
Big
super
Turbo
chats.
does want to know why you haven't started Garfield Kart yet, because he did give that to you. So that's rude of you, and you need to get on that right after Balan Wonderworld.
Yeah. Yes, I'll definitely do that. I'll stream that Garfield Kart game.
Maybe is that have online multiplayer? I'll get it. I'll play it with you.
I'll look and see if it does. We'll see. Yes. Oh my god. All right, but I think we can get out of here. Unless there's any other super chats or anything else.
Nope, that's it. I think.
All right. Mike, tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Find me on Twitter at Tolkoto, TOLKOTO. Check out 90s Disney, my 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com. For April, we actually did a Universal Islands of Adventure episode that is up now that you can check out. So please enjoy that.
That's not Disney. Why would you do
April.
that?
It's April. It's fun. It's fun. It's goofy. It's April Fool's. It's Universal instead.
All right. Very good. I am Jeff Grubb on Twitter. My other podcast, How Games Make Money. I have a new episode that just went up today, actually, this morning. It's an interview with basically a professional studio that has started making games in Roblox. Instead of like making games for Steam or Switch.
Roblox is just a platform now.
It's just a platform now. And we talked about that and how that works. And they brought up a lot of professional like talent and ideas, but then they work with people who come up from the Roblox community and help them make their ideas and take them to the next level or whatever. It was a good conversation. Go ahead and listen to that. And then, again, join the Discord. Come hang out with us. We're going to be draft. If you want to get involved in that draft, we're doing that tomorrow. The details for that should also be in the Discord. So just come check that out and come hang out with us. It should be a good time. All right. I am going to shut this down now, Mike. So let's say goodbye to everybody. Thank you for listening. Until next week, have a good one and goodbye.